Hello and good evening and welcome to Varsity Maine Live for the Portland Press Herald. I am Travis Lazarczyk. Tonight I am joined by my colleague from the Press Herald, Drew Bonifant, and the Belfast Bulldog from the Kennebec Journal, Dave Dyer. Guys, thanks for being with us.
Absolutely.
Our guests tonight are members of the defending Class AA girls basketball state champions. Right now their team is 9-1 with a game tomorrow night at Hamden Academy. They are ranked number 4 in our Varsity Maine poll this week. From the Cheverus girls basketball team, Emma Lizotte and Maddie Fitzpatrick. Guys, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you
for being here.
Now, before we get into the questions, guys, I think you have something to show us that you guys show to every kid who comes on a Cheverus tour.
Okay, fine. If you insist. You got that? You got that in there?
Gold ball that they won last year.
It's a thing of beauty. Sorry. Let me fix the camera.
You know, as defending state champions, is there anything that you didn't expect to have happen while you're defending the title, or anything this season that's been surprising?
Nothing really surprising. I mean, we just knew coming into this season we still have to work hard. It's not going to be a walk in the park. Never should be. So we're just getting in the gym every day, trying to do our best and get back to where we want to be.
Yeah, I think that sums it up pretty well. I mean, just working hard every day and knowing that we can do what we did last year again if we keep progressing and being good teammates and stuff.
You know, sometimes coaches, when they're coming off of a state championship, they really are all about, having talks with their team about turning the page. This is this year, last year is over and stuff. And some coaches kind of leave it up to their players to kind of know to turn the page on their own. Coach Goodman, which camp did he fall into? Did he kind of leave it to you, or did he have a conversation with you before the season about, hey, let's not be, still thinking about last year when we have a whole another season to play?
I mean, he says he doesn't want to, but he always talks about last year. And I mean, there's a good reason to. I mean, they were the 5 seniors that left were really great. They were great teammates, great players. And I think he goes back to that team just to remind us of the great players that were there and stuff, and kind of telling us that we can do it and stuff. So I mean, he is thinking in the past, going back, but also he thinks about the future and is always talking about what we need to do to be successful and stuff.
You mentioned the turnover, but you guys are obviously having another great season so far, 10 games, 9-1. What's stood out to the both of you as far as play on the court? What's kind of been some of the keys you both feel as to the success you've had so far to this point in the season?
Our main goal is our defense, just keeping the energy up and aggressiveness, always playing good D every game is our main goal.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think that's something we really pride ourselves on, is playing really aggressive defense and just starting the game on the defensive end instead of the offensive end. And then also passing. I don't know if any of you watched the Bangor game, but we passed horribly. We just weren't. I don't think we weren't ready yet. We just hadn't really gotten there mentally yet. But passing too, just making that extra pass. We really one of our assistant coaches talks about assists and stuff a lot, and rebounding too. Those are our main things.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that Bangor game. I bet you a lot of people, maybe from the outside, not knowing what what you lost with the seniors and what you had to replace them, and probably just figured, oh, Cheverus is going to come out firing with all the players they have back, and they may have been surprised to see you drop that game to Bangor early in the season. We've seen Bangor, turns out they've got a really good team, but did that loss coming that early in the season, was it something of either a wake-up call for you, or just something that sort of got you focused and got you thinking, okay, it's go time, it's time to button things up and be ready to go here?
I would say it's kind of both. It was a wake-up call for a lot of people, this is varsity basketball, this is the level we're playing at, but it's also now it's time to work hard. You can play at this level, and all we have to do is just play together and work on what we need to work on to get better. And if we did play them again in the season, we would know how to handle it a lot better.
Yeah, I think that too. And also just, I think losing that game was really important for us because we learned a lot about our team, like what we need to work on, just like where we want to progress from there. Like that was our starting point, and now we know where we want to go and stuff.
Guys, I'd like to hit on that defense that you talked about a little bit more in detail if you can. You've only allowed the 50 points once this year in that loss to Bangor, and I think you've held a lot of teams under 40. What are some of the like philosophical keys you guys take into each game defensively? Some of the tenets that you're thinking about when you're on the court playing on that side of the ball?
I think just like ball pressure and like being on help side and stuff. Really just like working your hardest and like just like having hustle and like wanting to be good at defense. I mean, like I like already said, like defense is something we pride ourselves on. So like everybody wants to be successful at it. And so like when we have everybody like wanting to be good at it, it's like easier to work together and be more successful.
Yeah, I say one of the biggest things we say is that defense doesn't take any talent. It just takes effort. So anybody could play defense. So that's why we're all working our hardest at that, because we know we can all do it well if we do it together. And just another big thing is the rebounds we're trying to get, because then it just ends us playing defense.
Are you finding you're able to transition defense into offense, get out on, quick transition buckets, things like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, we like to transition.
Sure.
Yeah, I had a chance to see you in the preseason and definitely playing with a lot of speed and a lot of pace. And I figured to give you two a chance to kind of talk about what each of you brings to the table here. Maddie, you're really skilled player on both ends of the floor on the perimeter, running the show while playing some tough defense. Emma, you're a tough matchup in the post. What's it been like for you to watch kind of each other play and give you a chance to kind of assess each other's games?
Okay. I mean, Emma and I have played together since like I think 6th grade, like with AAU and stuff. And so I think like always she's just been like a really aggressive defender, like especially with rebounding, and also just like wanting the ball inside the post, which is important because I don't think a lot of people realize that like post players are like 10 times better when they actually want the ball and stuff, and are like aggressive with it. And so I think that's something that Emma brings: defense, rebounding, blocks, like all that stuff, and just being a good teammate.
For Maddie, it's been good watching her get better at seeing the court, because she's really good at seeing the whole floor and pushing the ball. She's a good decision maker too, which is good to have as a point guard. And I think one of the biggest things I've seen from her this year is like all the steals she's been getting, and it's just good to see her grow so much over the years.
Who wins in a game of one-on-one?
Gosh, I don't know. I mean, I'm a guard and she's a post player.
Yeah.
Okay, we're bringing the computer at the gym. We're doing this right now. Just kidding.
Maddie, in terms of the future, I believe you've committed verbally to UMaine. Is that true? And just talk about kind of the excitement with that.
Yeah, so I made my decision this fall to commit, and I'm super excited. The staff up there is great. The team is having a great year. It's just a great group of girls, and I'm really excited. I mean, I'm really excited for the future, but I'm kind of focused right now on the present because I don't want to like let this time slip away, because high school basketball is a lot of fun and like it's a great team and everything. So, I'm looking forward to the future, but focus in the present right now.
Speaking of the present, when you look at, we were talking about your 9-1 record, and you look at Oxford Hills 9-0, Bangor 9-0, Hamden right behind 7-3. Do you do scoreboard watching? Is that something you finish your game, you come back and see how the other teams did, or is it almost like, hey, let's not think about that for right now. Let's just kind of focus on Cheverus and just keep our focus there.
I think for me personally, at least, I like hate like all the social media stuff, like all that like nonsense. Like I kind of just want to focus on the team. Like, sure, like whatever, the scores can say stuff, but like we're not like other teams and stuff. And so I think just like focusing on ourselves and like focusing like on that next game, like just being really focused and stuff.
Okay. Guys, I think we took you out of practice for this, so I appreciate your time.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Good luck for the rest of the season. Emma Lizotte and Maddie Fitzpatrick from Cheverus High School. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
We have Athletes of the Week, as always, and we will start with Gardner's Lizzie Gruber. She reached 1,000 career rebounds during a 39-point, 18-rebound performance in a win over Nokomis on Tuesday. Now, there's a chance she was going to get her 1,000th point tonight at Morris. If she doesn't get it tonight, she'll certainly get it soon, being one of the rare players to get 1,000 points and 1,000 rebounds. Landon Foster of the Coney, Halldale, Erskine, Winthrop, Monmouth boys hockey co-op team made 70 saves. Yeah, 70 saves in a 4-1 loss to unbeaten Messalowski on Tuesday. Dave, this kid's going to be a walking bruise, but what can you tell me about Landon Foster?
It was an effort that Ron Tugnut would be proud of. If that's talking about a dated subject there. But no, he did a tremendous job. This is a very, very young. I talked to Sean Johnson, the Coney head coach, last week for Hockey Notebook. This is a very young Coney squad. A lot of turnover. They're 1-4 right now, but honestly, Sean's been incredibly happy and impressed with the effort this young Rams team's given. Foster being one of those standouts. It's a junior. He had some of the stats here. He's seen 228 shots on goal, has made 209 saves in 5 games. So he's seeing about earning about 41.8 saves a game. He's been nothing short of brilliant back there. They lost this game in Messalowski 4-1, but he did everything that he could possibly do, and it's definitely proven to be a standout for the squad. Just a tremendous job, and obviously a save total you do not usually see in a Maine high school hockey game. So
that's a good, strong couple weeks of work for a lot of goalies.
Absolutely.
That's impressive. Thank you, Dave. Ava Joffrey, Lewiston girls hockey. She scored all 3 goals in the Blue Devils' 3-2 victory over St. Dominic and Winthrop Monmouth on Saturday. Nate Hebert from Gray New Gloucester boys basketball, he hit 7 3-pointers and scored 42 points in a win over Lake Region on Saturday. Then he scored 30 points, including a 3 at the buzzer to force overtime in Tuesday's win over Brunswick. Thornton Academy's Addison Solkowski scored 22 points with 13 rebounds to lead the Trojans to a 55-47 win over Sanford on Saturday. Trevor Perkins, Bonnie Eagle Wrestling, he's a senior competing at 138 pounds, and he was named the most outstanding wrestler at Saturday's Spartan Wrestle annual tournament at Sanford High. Perkins won the weight class with a last-second takedown and pin against Caden Dustin of Noble after beating top seed Griffin Brickett of Wells in his semifinal. Lilia Soar of Binneford, Thornton, Wells, Sanford girls hockey scored with 16 seconds left to complete the comeback win in a 4-3 win over St. Dom's. Johnny Patno from Poland boys basketball, he put up 33 against Freeport on Saturday, and he also scored 35, including 21 in the second half in a win over Trape. Anna Turgeon of Falmouth scored 35 points and grabbed 11 rebounds in a 48-34 win over Greeley on Tuesday. Drew, what can you tell us about Anna and the Navigators girls basketball team?
Well, I was at that game against Greeley. I got a chance to see her play up close, and it was very impressive. Just her work down low, not just scoring on putbacks and stuff like that, but some layups in traffic, even off balance layups underneath. She could knock down shots from the perimeter. So I think she had 3-pointers in that game. Just a really well balanced, versatile scoring effort, and she's elevated that Falmouth team. Coach Don Armandi was saying, basically you'd have to be, you don't know what you're talking about if you don't consider her one of the better players in that conference. And she elevated Falmouth to 6-3 with that win. And this is a team that lost one of the best players in the region, and in Sloan Ginnivan, who, if I'm getting that last name right, pronouncing it right, she's a dynamic player and is out for what is likely going to be the season with an injury, and so that could have really derailed this team. And Anna's play down low has really helped Falmouth keep going and made them a real contender in Class A South. So it was an impressive game to watch. She just kept bringing it all game long, and on defense as well.
Great, Drew. Thank you. Cody Dyer from Lewiston boys hockey, he netted 2 of the Blue Devils' goals during their third period rally from a 5-0 deficit to beat St. Dom's 7-5 on Saturday. He also had a pair of goals against Biddeford on Wednesday. Shea Farrell from the Mount Ararat Brunswick wrestling team, he cruised through the 170-pound division in Sanford with 4 first-place pins. His total time on the mat was 3 minutes, 21 seconds. The 3-sport standout has come into play baseball at Wheaton College in Norton, Massachusetts. I think, Dave, next up, he should be against you.
I take him on. I mean, I know he's cheap. He's talking about a tremendous athlete. I mean, multiple football, wrestling, baseball. I mean, he can do it all. But I certainly welcome all the covers into the square circle at any time. So if you're seeing this and you'd like to join me over at Limitless Wrestling, then it'd be fine. That'd be totally fine anytime.
Sarah English of North Yarmouth Academy had 21 points, 11 rebounds, and a win over Seacoast Christian Saturday. And finally, Falmouth's Aaron Higgins scored a hat trick in Monday's 6-3 win over Scarborough. Those are your athletes of the week. Polls. We have polls. We'll start with girls hockey, guys. No surprise, undefeated Cheverus co-op team is in first place with all 7 first-place votes and 35 points. Yarmouth Freeport's number 2 with 28 points. Penobscot, the new team in the Brewer-Bangor area, is third with 15 points. Number 4 is Brunswick at 12 points. Number 5 is Lewiston at 8. The Cheverus co-op team just keeps kind of rolling along, I should say. They had a tough 1-0 win, 3-2 win over Yarmouth Freeport last week in their toughest game to date. And Coach Scott Russo said that's the kind of game that his team kind of wanted and needed at this point in the season to give them a test as they head down the stretch. Boys hockey, a little tighter. Number 1, Thornton with 5 first-place votes. Number 2, Brunswick with 2 first-place votes. Number 3, Falmouth. Number 4, EL, and they are tied at 4 with Messalonski. I had a chance to see Falmouth the other night in that 6-3 win over Scarborough. They started out the season 0-2, but they're clicking around right now, and they just come at you in waves offensively. I think they peppered Scarborough goalie Keegan Weed with 40-plus shots, and it wasn't like they were just shooting it into his pads and hoping to get a rebound or something. They were really making him work for these saves he made in that 6-3 Falmouth win. Girls basketball, number 1, Bangor with 6 of the first-place votes. Number 2, Oxford Hills picks up the other 2 first-place votes. Number 3, Thornton Academy. Number 4, Cheverus. And number 5, Gardner. Drew, we kind of talked about it when we had the Cheverus players on a few minutes ago. 3 of the 5 teams in the top 5 are Class AA North. That region's really loaded right now.
Yeah, it's looking like that's where most of the iron and the class and the AA class is. Down south you have Thornton Academy, which is having a terrific season, but with the exception of Gorham, still kind of unsure where their main competition could be coming from. Sanford gave them a test the other day, but it definitely looks like AA North is really rolling. I mean, when you think about Hampden at 7-3 and the success they've had as a program and are having it again this year, having the only the number 4 record in that region with Cheverus at 9-1, Bangor at 9-0, Oxford Hills at 9-0. There's that's really a good question going on. Which of these teams is going to come out and end up taking on AA South? I mean, it's tough to go against Cheverus based on what they still have from last year, the 2 players that we talked to. But I mean, Bangor's number 1 for a reason. They've been rolling all season, and obviously beat Cheverus head to head. So pretty much an undisputed number 1, I would think.
Yeah, the tournament's still over a month away, but that Class AA North is going to be fun and something to look forward to for sure. Mm-hmm. And finally, the boys basketball poll is probably the closest poll of the week. Number 1, Brewer with 5 first-place votes. Number 2, Oxford Hills with a first-place vote. Number 3, Thornton, they get a first-place vote. And number 4, Portland gets a first-place vote. Number 5 is Lewiston, who's a relatively new team to the poll. Dave, Brewer was a really good team last year. They kind of got lost in the shuffle with that loaded Nokomis team with the Flag Twins. But the Witches just kind of keep rolling along here. Who in Class A North could give them a run for their money?
Well, Brewer certainly is a team to watch right now, and obviously the success they had last year, obviously just being held up by Nokomis and the Flag family. In general, it's with them kind of out of the way, it's kind of been Brewer's time to shine. But there's teams that play. Mount Blue has been a team that's kind of come out of the woodwork this season. Coney has been out of the woodwork too, both 7-3. So there's certainly teams in play. I would lean toward Brewer right now just because of how they played last year, how they're coming into this year, and how they've been doing so far. But no, there's contenders along the way as well. it should be an exciting run to the tournament.
All right, thanks, Dave. Games coming up that we're looking forward to. For me, guys, it's a game that's not going to be played for another week, but a boys hockey game between Thornton Academy and Falmouth. They're currently 1-2 in Class A boys hockey. Neither of them plays until that game because we have finals at a lot of schools right now. Teams are taking a little midwinter break, but that should be a strong game. Drew, anything you're looking forward to in the coming days?
Yeah, a few. 3 girls basketball games I was looking at coming at. 2 of them are tomorrow. One of them is Cheverus at Hamden. It's just like we were just talking about, 2 really solid teams. And that game will reveal if that top 4 in that region is even more knotted than we thought. If Hamden pulls off the win, then it really looks like, it's 4 teams. You could take a pick as to which one's the favorite. So that'll be interesting to watch. And then we got a Falmouth at Marshwood game, 6-3 Falmouth at 6-2 Marshwood. Marshwood beat Falmouth earlier in the season, and when I was at that Greeley game, I was talking to Mike Hofford. He said that Falmouth couldn't buy a basket in that game. So certainly they'll be motivated to kind of even the score and get a big win for themselves and their heel points. And then next week, Wells at Old Orchard Beach. Wells is 8-1. Old Orchard Beach is 8-1. Elise McNair is having a terrific season so far for the Seagulls. They were a favorite coming in. They've panned out to be just exactly that team. Wells may have been thought to take a step back after losing Grace Ramsdale and having a coaching change, but that team has been that team has been on a roll all season, and so if they get this win on Tuesday, it'll be just another indication that they're just as strong as they've always been.
All right, thank you, Drew. Dave, what's coming up in Central Maine that you're looking forward to seeing?
Well, I know I got a win for girls basketball tomorrow night, and right now it's kind of a search for contenders for Halldale, who's started off the defending Class C champions, who have started the season off undefeated. Even with big turnover on their roster, they lost most of their starting lineup, but they've had kids come up and just fill in and rolling as if nothing happened. It's been kind of amazing to watch. I know North Yarmouth Academy is number 2 in the standings there, but the Mountain Valley Conference is producing a couple of challengers, Winthrop being one of them. And then aside from that, honestly, I've been keeping on top of the possible football classification proposal. So keeping ears open on that as well in the coming week up here in Central Maine, as the Maine Principal Association offices are right in our territory.
Yeah, let's hit on that a minute. There's some people who are a little upset that they're going to stick with four classes for 11-man football. Class A is expanding from 8 teams to 12, it looks like. What are your thoughts, guys, on what we could see next year and the year after in high school football in Maine?
We see some interesting shuffling going on. One thing that caught my eye is Winslow potentially moving from Class C to Class D. That's a team that's been able to. I know that their enrollment's been going down, but they've been able to be competitive and even state championship game caliber in Class C. So that would be a big team moving down. And then you see Wyndham going back to Class A is an interesting move given the success that they've had in Class B recently. 2 years ago, going to the state championship in Class B and giving eventual champion Marshwood everything they can handle. It's always interesting to see that, because you see when you see teams move around and how that could affect rivalries and everything. Another one that stood out to me was Gardner going down to Class C. It feels like they've yo-yoed every year. Seems like it can't.
They're right on the border.
Yeah.
Enrollment-wise, yeah.
No, but yeah, it's always that interesting question of should this be 4 divisions, or should this be or 4 classes or 3 classes? And I think you can make reasons for come up with good reasons and evidence for why it should be either one. I like the 3 class model myself, but I think we're gonna have an interesting product regardless of how it ends up turning out.
I think everybody start off with, I'm sure is happy to see the Class A bumped up from 8 teams, or under the proposal, I should say, hasn't been passed yet, but under the proposal, Class A would be bumped up from 8 teams to 12, which I'm sure everybody is happy to see. I think everybody kind of thought 8 teams in Class A was kind of ridiculous for lack of a better term over the last couple of years. But also interesting, the growth of Class D. As Drew said, Winslow being one of those teams. I actually talked to Wes Littlefield, the head coach of Winslow High School this morning, and he's just looking at it from, even though they've had success, it's an enrollment kind of an issue. It's program numbers type of an issue. And under the proposal, some fellow Class C North schools like Belfast, like Maine Central Institute, would also join them in Class D. So I think that helps kind of ease the blow, so to speak, of going down. You see teams that you are already used to, along with other contenders, or already powerhouses like Foxcroft Academy. So I think that helps some of these teams. I know, talking to multiple coaches today, and I won't name names, but there's plenty who are with you, Drew. They kind of prefer it go 3 classes. We now have 50 11-man football teams in the state. So, and as we both know, the number of 8-man teams within the state have only grown each year. So if we're not doing 3 classes for this particular cycle, what's it going to look like in a couple of years when the next classification cycle comes up? I guess it's just a matter of, to me, at this point now, if 8-man continues to rise within the state, it's going to be a matter of not if, but when we go back from 4 classes to 3 classes. I think a lot of people just kind of thought that maybe it would be now as opposed to later on.
One thing you brought up, Dave, I think is a good piece about this this potential reshuffling is going back to 2 regions in Class D and Class D and Class A. I like that more when you have this championship game be a north-south matchup as opposed to just the top 2 teams in one region, like Class A was last year and like Class D was last year. So that is something that, just from an aesthetic standpoint, I like about this move.
Absolutely.
Okay, the classification committee will take this up a week from today. Also looking at changes in soccer, adding possibly an 8-on-8 league for the small schools, volleyball expanding from 3 to 4 classes, and we'll see what the basketball committee comes up with as well. So interesting times for Maine high school sports, and with these interesting times, you can check it all out at varsitymaine.com. How's that for a segue? You can get all your high school coverage that you'd ever possibly need there. For Drew, for Dave, for Emma, for Maddie, I'm Travis. Thanks for joining us this week on Varsity Maine Live.